From the grocery store to the global market, the effects of President Trump's tariffs are being felt, and nearly 2,000 economists are speaking up. Tonight, 21 Alive's John Wagner talks with a Ball State economics professor who has advice for Hoosiers.
Just to enlighten our viewers just a little bit, this isn't just your opinion. There was a letter recently signed by about 2,000 economists, all in agreement that tariffs are bad for the United States economy. Can you walk us through a little bit what that letter says?
Right. So this was a letter put together by several economists, 2 or 3 Nobel Prize winners, distinguished professors around the country, both from the left. Most of the original signers are free market, libertarian type economists, but it also include former Council of Economic Advisors for President Bush, President Clinton, President Obama, and a number of economists who would call themselves very progressive. There are very few things economists agree on. The one thing we agree on is that tariffs are a very ineffective way to raise taxes and generally don't add to economic growth. They're not going to reallocate economic activity back to the United States. They're not going to pull back factory jobs. They're just going to make the things that Americans buy more expensive. And so the letter detailed the economic rationale for that and why it's really unhelpful to a country that is so good at manufacturing. The record manufacturing production year in the U.S. was 2024. It would have been 2025 without tariffs, which would have been a monumental achievement for the Trump administration if they had just managed to acknowledge it.
President Trump and other Republicans, his supporters, said that tariffs, don't worry about paying them. It will just force American companies to bring their manufacturing back to the United States, which will increase jobs and be just a huge economic boom for the United States. Are you saying we won't see that happen? Are you saying that that was really never going to happen?
There are several reasons why that was never going to happen that were actually made worse by the administration's own action. So if that were going to happen, it would, opening up a new manufacturing firm in the United States is a multi-year process. And so if we were going to take factory jobs home from China, you would really need Congress to pass this legislation, not do it through executive order, so that businesses could have certainty over their capital expenditures for the next several years. And what has actually happened is the reverse. The level of uncertainty is causing manufacturing employment to decline. We've seen more manufacturing warn notices in Indiana in the last 30 days than we saw in the 30 previous months. So it's been a big economic shock, lost jobs that are coming here in the state. And the other problem here is that the reason we're importing products from other countries is because we're really good at some types of manufacturing. We're really good at very technical work, very high precision manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and we're good at processing food that we grow. So those are the factory jobs that we have in the United States. We're not very good at putting rivets on the backs of jeans. That doesn't take a lot of skill. It doesn't take a $6 an hour healthcare plan. That's best done in Vietnam or somewhere else. What we're really good is taking inexpensive materials from other places, processing it, manufacturing it, building a product, and selling it. So we're the top of the food chain. And what the president's saying is we want to bring back more bottom of the food chain jobs, which doesn't make any sense. We're not going to get Americans to do those jobs at $500 a week. That's just not the type of jobs that we should be aspiring to. If there was any belief in the economic community, I'm talking about people who have made a 20-year career studying this, if there was any belief that this would onshore jobs, then you would not have got economists across the political spectrum signing that letter. The fact is, we know it's not going to bring jobs. We're going to have fewer factory jobs this time next year because of these Trump tariffs. We're going to see declines for years. And if as long as they're in place, if they're in place a couple of years, we're going to see supply chains move away from the United States in many, many industries that we're currently world leaders in. And that should be a huge concern for legislators, federal legislators here in Indiana, in the House and Senate, who are almost exclusively the president's own party, who are not taking seriously this threat to our Indiana economy.
Professor, is there any advice you can give for the average Hoosier who I think most people have accepted that we don't really know what's coming down the pike as far as tariffs, trade negotiations. There's surprises around every corner, it seems. But is there any advice you can give, sort of in the long term, the next few months, anything like that?
Absolutely. Business absolutely requires certainty to make business decisions. If it's good news or bad news, American business will eventually figure out what to do. The thing that causes them to freeze in place is this uncertainty. Do I order that new part from China? Is the tariff going to be, right now it's 55% on most of the parts that we're getting to manufacture here in Indiana. If I buy that part, is the tariff going to be 145% when it gets to my shore and I take possession of it, or is it going to be 0%? If it's 0%, that's great. If it's 145%, that could put me out of business. Should I wait a week to see if the tariffs are going to get cut? This uncertainty is horrific. So small business owners across Indiana should be picking up their phone and calling their legislators, Democrats and Republicans, and saying, look, please ask the president to put aside these tariffs. And if he won't, please revoke the Article 232 of the 1962 Trade Act, which was last used in 1987 for national security reasons to get these tariffs eliminated. That's the first thing you can do, particularly if you're a business owner or you're in a business that's affected. If you're a household, call your legislator, email your legislator, and ask them to do exactly the same and say, look, my family, I got 3 kids going back to school this fall. Clothes are going to be 30% more expensive to outfit those kids, at the very least, to get them dressed for school. So if you've got a 5-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, they're not going to fit into the clothes you bought last year. You're going to have to spend a lot more money to get them to school this year. And that's not something we should be doing willy-nilly. If we really have to experience pain and higher prices because there's some benefit from it, let's actually articulate what that is. Let's have evidence of it. And if not, ask your legislators to do something about it. That's the only thing you can do other than, save your money because things are likely to get very tight. And if you have a factory job or a logistics job in Indiana, if you're one of those 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 workers who either hold a logistics or factory job or work in a place that supports a factory or logistics firm, you ought to be very, very concerned about the next few months and whether or not you're going to have a job. And I think this really comes down to the choice of the president and his tariff regime, and it'd be better for him to back off on it before he feels extraordinary pain from it. And I think you'll get legislators wanting to agree with you. They're very concerned, particularly those who are likely to face electoral challenges because of the pain caused by tariffs.
Professor Michael Hicks has a fantastic article right now on the IndyStar website explaining all of this, very well dissected. Professor Hicks, thank you so much for giving us a few minutes tonight.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you.